this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Al Boski. My partner in crime, Professor Keith, is not with us here tonight. More on that later. But I'm in a good mood. The Eagles win. My guest tonight is in a good mood. The Ravens win. And
yes,
last night with Trace Parker, he got a win in 3WA's Brawls Hallows Eve at Quakertown. He is smooth Tom Mitchell. What's up, bud?
Oh, no, hold on, man. As you mentioned, I'm in a good mood. Ravens won, Eagles won, so you're in a good mood too. It's a great night to have an interview, man. Looking forward to this.
Love it. We got some comments off the bat. David Motorman, big SWO fan and the professor's partner on commentary for SWO, says after an exciting and an amazing Saturday evening celebrating the SWO 300 shows and 22 years, as well as our dear friend Jeff Becker, what better way to end the weekend around the turnbuckle so smooth?
I love it. I love
David
it.
Hill, big SWO fan as well. Good evening. Nice to see you, David. SWO rocket last Saturday. Yes, they did. I was off the hook. A great event at Red Lion on Chapel Church. I was honored to ring announce that event and honored to see you in action as usual. You guys tore the house down with that 6-person scramble. I thought it was great.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean, it was 6 very, very, very skilled guys. I mean, Greg, even though he's been in a funk, I don't know how else to describe it as of late, he's still very talented. There's a reason why we're able to become tag champs in SWO. And of course, I got major respect for Trace Parker, Benny Slater, Prince Piranha, and Evan Atlas. So, I mean, overall, just a lot of great competition and a lot of great dudes in SWO.
So let's talk about that for just a minute, okay? Before we talk about 3WA last night, let's talk about your partner, Greg the Mechanic Manual in SWO, whacking you from behind with a wrench and basically ending Full Throttle. I mean, what happened there?
Yeah, so what happened after fact? So let's rewind first. Back in May, we lost our SWO tag titles to Rose Gold, who are still the champs. Rose Gold Inc., I should say.
Yep.
Cody Rose and Sean Rollins.
They are now Rose Gold 2.0.
2.0.
They lost the Incorporated to General Kiesel and Django Wren.
That's right. That is right.
So they are. Right. They told me that they have to legally call themselves Rose Gold 2.0.
See, I did not know that. So I'm learning something here on the podcast around the turnbuckle. But yeah, so basically we go back, we lost the titles in May and Red Lion. At that point, we had a chance, but I felt like I wasn't pulling my weight. So I told Greg, I was like, listen, man, like I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna go elsewhere, I'm gonna hone my craft, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna run this division once again. And to my knowledge, he was cool with it. And he was gonna say at SWO, you know, keep Full Throttle in fans' minds. But we got back, and the first match back, he had this just viciousness to him, like this aggressive side that I'd never really seen. We wrestled Dog Nation, who's obviously like one of the most beloved teams in all of SWO.
And in independent wrestling in general, brother.
Yes, they are so incredibly skilled in that ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking forward to having a great, clean match. And then there's just certain things throughout the match, like I think it was Alan. No, it was Sage who got whipped, and Greg like him in the back or tripped him up or something. I'm just like, this isn't how we wrestle.
Yeah.
So then just that whole match, it was just a dynamic where I'm like, we don't do these things that Greg's doing. and there were some disagreements between the match, which ultimately cost us the number one contenders. And I don't know if Greg expected to emerge back at SWO, some new viciousness or whatever, but I've always been a guy who wants to stick by the rules, who wants to win the right way. Like, I want my skill to be the reason I win, not because I use some underhand tactic. Because at the end of the day, what am I proving to myself if I need a cheat to win? Like, I want to be the absolute best. In order to be the best, I gotta fight like the best, and I use, like I said, some underhanded methods.
It
So
seems like Greg the Mechanic Manual, since he's returned, has a different attitude, and the attitude he has is, I don't care what I got to do. I want to get back in the win column, and that's not the way the Greg Manual we knew before he was gone, and before you guys were separated for a short time. The Greg Mechanic we knew, you guys, he had the same attitude you had. Win, you want to win, but win the right way. Win, play by the rules. Win straight and narrow path. But you guys were very successful as a team. So this new attitude of his not only took away his partner, but now the fans who have loved Greg Manuel for all this time he's been around SWO, they've turned on him too.
yeah, and it's wild because, like, just the day of the show, like, I felt something was off. The 299 show, I should say, Dancing in Seven Valleys, where, well, first of all, like, obviously, I knew about the haircut, but I was just like, that's not Greg. Like, Greg looks at this corporate guy now. Greg's always been the long hair, the mechanic, just this full of energy, full throttle, for lack of a better way to describe him. And then, yeah, and just even like when we were just like talking, just catching up, like, he just felt short of me, and I was just like, this is odd. Like, like, the first time we ever tagged, like, it just clicked so naturally, and like we could just talk about whatever, and it's just like he just seems so business focused, and it's like, dude, you're still my partner, man. Like, we still, like, I want to know how your newborn's doing. I want to know, like, how life is, like, how's the job going? And no, man, just none of that. So I should have seen the red flags as they appeared, and then we got out there. Yeah, it sucks because SWO loved us, but he made his own bed. Now he's got to lay in it.
So we got to get more comments in here. Wayne Lucas, who's at every single 3WA show, finally missed one. He wasn't here this past Saturday. Hey, guys, sorry I couldn't make the 3WA event on Saturday. We missed you, buddy. I was looking for you. Cameron told us your buddy Cameron told us you guys are always together at every show, and I know you're a big fan of Nice and Smooth. They had a great match. They were in the main event. It was Nice and Smooth versus Rico Hendricks and a mystery partner. We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, Shane Sanchez, some might know him as Mr. Ping. Ravens suck. Guess what? They won 31-24 final. So I don't know how much they suck. I don't know how true that is there, Mr. Ping, but that is what it is, right? And you can catch him, by the way. You can catch Shane and his boys on Three Beards podcast, I believe it's called. They have a new podcast, so good luck with that, guys. I have been checking it out. I have been listening to it. You guys are really good. You guys are going to build an audience just like we did. Eagles all the way. See now, I didn't know me and him are, brothers as far as Eagles fans go. So that's cool.
Yeah, I saw a comment. I thought he was a Steelers fan, just because of the rivalry there. But like, I got no bad blood with the Eagles, man. Like, you guys are killing it.
Ravens win, and you suck. Hey, Andy says I suck. He was part of that group that was booing me out of the building when I was trying to interview Roadblock. I was simply trying to explain the fact that Roadblock gets all these cheers, and I'm on each and every episode of Carnage giving my talent on there next to the professor, which we'll talk about him in a second. And the disrespect I got, as soon as I got in the ring, I was getting booed before I even talked. Smooth Tom Mitchell.
Man, I mean, I don't know why people just don't like you. I mean, you do.
They don't like me in Quakertown. They love me in SWO. They love me in Seven Valleys and Red Lion.
It's funny. You're not the only person who's like with that, where it's like they love you in Quakertown or they hate you in Quakertown, or vice versa. So.
Oh, he's saying not you, Shane. Okay.
Oh, okay.
He's saying Shane sucks.
Wow.
Well, you take that up with Mr. Ping there, Andy. Anyway, the professor, in case you guys weren't there, and Wayne, I know you weren't there, so you got to listen this up. The professor was attacked by Wyndham James Winthrop III, and that video is floating around somewhere on Facebook. But I mean, you'll definitely see it on Carnage. Wyndham James Winthrop III was about to set fire to personal items of Theo Ivory. My broadcast partner says enough is enough. He drops his headset. He goes to the ring just to stop him. He wasn't going to physically, he's not crazy. He wasn't going to physically, attack Wyndham James Winthrop III, a former 3WA heavyweight champion. But he was just going to say enough is enough, and he was going to grab Theo Ivory's stuff and get the heck out of there. But before he even had a chance to, he started to pick up the stuff, and Wyndham nailed him from behind and put him in a sleeper hold, and Theo Ivory came in for the save. So that's what happened to the Professor. So wait till you guys see that on Carnage. Wait till you guys see that, Wayne. What are the events of 3WA on Saturday? You can go on, Wayne. They post them. You can go on 3WA's Facebook page and get all of Brawl Hallows Eve's results. They usually wait till they put the videos out from Carnage so that you, in case you weren't there and you want to check it out and you don't get spoiler alerted as to who won the match. We are talking about Nice and Smooth did win their match in the main event. So there's a spoiler there. But as far as the rest of it, no, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding. You got to see that video, Wayne. You got to see that video. The Professor was attacked by Wyndham James Winthrop III. You got to check that out. And I was attacked by the Quakertown fans. Anyway, so the main event was Nice and Smooth versus Rico Hendricks. And for a minute there, the fans thought it was going to be Dazzling Derek as his partner.
I thought that as well. I was like, okay, I give a chance on Doofus Derek. By all means, I'll have Adam. But
love it.
No.
I love it. Yes, Tom is very talented. Yes, he is. The Professor has often compared him to a young John Cena, which is a hell of a compliment. Because he reminds you, like, you're obviously not as big as Cena is, but you are a big dude. And your moveset similar. The way you move in the ring, your psychology in the ring is similar to Cena's. And that young upstart, the ruthless aggression John Cena when he came in and slapped Kurt Angle in the face. I think he's pretty much talking about that guy, the prototype, because that's what you are. And if you turn the volume up, he thinks you're going to be a star. But you are very talented. Make no mistake about it. I'm not here to say you're not, because you are. You are. And not. But anyway, and so is your partner. So in 3WA, your partner is Trace Parker. You guys are Nice and Smooth, one of the premier tag teams there, and you guys have teamed up a lot elsewhere too. I know that. So last night you're in the main event, and it's Rico Hendricks. So how do you approach a match where you didn't know who the mystery guy was until you heard that music?
So the way that we approach it is just like, okay, we both face Rico, and we have an idea like what Rico likes to do, how we can game plan against him. Our whole thing was we don't know of anyone who Rico tagged with on a regular, so we were just gonna go into the match like we will win with tag team wrestling. Whereas like whoever Rico brings in, they won't be a tag team. Like our best shot is to hope that they have a miscue and that we'll win. But who he brought in, we could not have prepared for his partner, because that was one of the last guys we had on our list as far as potential partners for Rico. We didn't know Rico knew the guy.
So spoiler alert, the mystery partner was Suicide Myers, who a lot of people who watch this program know who Suicide Myers is. And I mean, he's dangerous enough in the ring, but when you put money in his pocket, as Dazzling Derek and Rico did, he's even more dangerous.
Yeah, when you have Myers with a bounty on our heads, that's a scary sight. When he's just there to collect a paycheck and, take care of business and make sure he gets another paycheck coming, it's a very dangerous man. He definitely saw a day from that absolute war we went through last night.
He's a nightmare. That is exactly right, Andy. He is a nightmare. But you guys handled business. And you handled business. And at the end of the night, you guys had your hands held up high. And Suicide Myers and Dazzling Derek and Rico had a bit of a disagreement there. So Suicide Myers cleaned house, as Suicide Myers usually does. And the end of the night, respectfully holding the hands of the winners up, which was a pretty cool sight to see. And there's pictures of I've seen Suicide Myers before in the 3WA like a couple months. Yes, he's been in and out of the 3WA, but most people know him from the SWO, Wayne. But he does move. He does get around. And Suicide Myers, you never know where he's going to pop up. That's the cool thing about him.
Mm-hmm. Where the money is.
When I first started talking to you, when Keith and I first started talking to you a couple of years ago, you were a ring announcer. You were making that transition to wrestler. So here we are, fast forward a year and a half later, whatever it is. How do you feel things are going?
Honestly, I'm loving wrestling right now. I've gotten some really cool opportunities. Just some like the partners I made the team with. And Trace and I really now starting to get more looks as a tag team. Still getting a couple individual bookings here and there. Some cool opportunities just in places I didn't even think was possible. Yeah. Some cool things on the horizon that I'm keeping under wraps until they're finalized. But yeah, just a lot of exciting things happening that like a year and a half ago, I was like, I don't know if I'd be on my way quite yet for these opportunities, but I guess people think I am, and I'm just trying to make them proud and trying to make sure that they get what they invested in when they bring me in.
You're in demand, man, around here. You are. I mean, you're in demand. People have seen videos of you wrestling at SWO, at 3WA, at PCWA, at different places around here, and you're in demand all of a sudden. How does that feel?
It's crazy being in a spot where now it's like, okay, I can only do this show this weekend, but I can't do this one. Like I gotta like be able to pick and choose my bookings, which is really cool because I know there's a lot of guys, and I'm not trying to say this in a disrespectful way. It's like you only get like one booking a month or two bookings a month, and now it's for me. It's like I gotta turn down 2 or 3 potential bookings a month because I've already committed to previous dates. Like promoters try to reach out to me for dates. I'm like, we literally got booked like 4 or 5 months in advance because pretty much all my Saturdays are filled up. So it's an awesome spot to be in. Don't get me wrong, but it's something I never really thought would happen this early on. But like you said, it's one of those things that I kind of just got lucky, and people all of a sudden have a demand for me.
I love seeing it too, man, because we met you, like I said, we met you a couple years ago, and here you were, a ring announcer, and you were making that transition, and, you know, you had the look, all right? You look like $1 million in the ring. You look bigger now, I think. I think you really worked on that, and your shape is perfect. Like, you look so much like a wrestler, if I may say that. And then your skills and your mic work and like all of that is coming together too. So that's why there's the demand. People have seen your matches. You know, it's not just the same old thing. You seem to tweak it a little here or there. You come up with a move, maybe you work on the move and whatever. And whether it's tag team action or whether it's singles action, you bring it each and every night. Any time that anybody's seen you wrestle, they can't argue with me with that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad you mentioned about my look as well, because when I started out, I was about 210 pounds, and I just had a doctor's appointment last week, and I was up to 238. So I'm really trying to get to like that heavyweight status, because I feel like I was that weird in between where like I'm not skinny enough to be considered like a luchador. I'm not big enough to really be considered a powerhouse. And I was like, what would a major company rather have? And I think it's more towards that powerhouse, especially with someone at my height, like 6'2". So it's just something I've really been working on, and it's cool to see, like, especially on footage and whatnot, like watching matches back, just how much I've physically grown and just being more comfortable in that ring and just being more in tune with who I am, for lack of a better way to say it.
You mentioned your height and weight. Do you know who else has that almost exact height and weight?
Who's that?
Cody Rhodes. Yeah,
actually, yeah.
So my point is that you're right there. I mean, yeah, of course you could beef up a couple of 10, 15 more pounds or whatever, but you are close and you can do a lot of things that he also can do. He's right there too. He's like the kind of guy where he's too heavy to be a luchador, like you said, and he's too light to be the heavyweight champion, although he has been. And then he took Roman Reigns to the limit at WrestleMania. That could be something that you could do, and I know I'm spitballing here, but I'm saying that's something I could see you doing down the road, hanging with a guy like that, hanging with a Seth Rollins, hanging with a Cody Rhodes, or going to AEW and hanging with Christian Cage, because you're right around the same size of those guys.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've been mindful of, or it's just like, like you see those guys, and it's like, okay, like they're at a certain weight and just at certain size and the look, and it's like, well, okay, like we know who they're looking for, like those major companies, like what they want in their guys, and it's like, what can I do to get to be someone that would be attractive to them to eventually want to sign? So yeah, a lot of hours in the gym, and of course just film study, and just always trying to innovate, and just taking stuff that I see from just matches from all across the decades, man. So yeah, just constantly working, whether it's in the gym, out of the gym, in the ring, whatever.
So the more locker rooms that you visit, the more that you get in demand and the more places you wrestle. Do you come across different guys that you've never met before that have been doing it a long time that you get to actually have conversations with?
Yeah, so it's funny, like when I know there's a vet who's like not like maybe earlier in the card than me, or maybe he was just there to watch, like I'll typically have them like I'll ask them, of course, if they want to watch my match and just give me critiques on just something I haven't seen before, or like, whatever. Like the most recent one I had that I can think of is, I don't know if you're familiar with Montekia, but
Yeah.
he's House of Glory guy. He trains at House of Glory, and I had him watch a match that Trace and I and Mark Alexander had at PPW, a 6-man tag, and he just really opened my eyes up to like stuff that like I never thought about in the ring, and it's like, wow, this makes so much sense. And hearing from a guy who's been doing it 7-8 years, who's teaching the next generation, just certain things that he was telling me is like I said, it just blew my mind. It's like, why did I never think about it this way? But sometimes you need that outside opinion from people, or that outside perspective, to really be able to improve. Because I mean, you get advice sometimes where it's just like, okay, like I appreciate you trying to look after me, but it's not really good. But him in particular was advice. I'm like, oh my God, like it was just like a light bulb moment. So yeah, definitely having vets around and learn from them is majorly beneficial for a young guy like me.
I'll tell you one thing. When I first started ring announcing, I picked as many brains as I could, not just people who have ring announced, but also like veterans, because there were certain things that most guys prefer, especially old school people, you know. And one thing I'll never forget is we SWO has had Sonny Kiss a couple of times, right? And I had a conversation with Sonny Kiss about my ring. I just wanted to make sure that I announced her right. I wanted to make sure that I did what they wanted. I always make sure what they wanted. Before the show, I'm like, hey, is there anything you guys want special said, or something you want me to put over, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And Sonny Kiss says, one thing I did notice was on one of your earlier announcements, you started announcing before the person actually came into the arena. And from then on, I have not done that since.
Yeah.
I have waited. The music starts, and I wait until they poke their head out before I actually start introducing them. And some ring announcers do it different. There's Carolina Jim in 3WA who waits till you're completely into the ring and does it a big fight feel announcement every time. And that's partially because in that smaller environment, if the crowd's loud, you might not be able to hear what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So he waits until the music stops, and then you'll be able to hear him. So I get that. But with SWO, it's whether you're at Chapel Church or whether you're at Seven Valleys, it's a more wide open building. So you can hear me over the music. And I wait until you're actually out before I say anything. But my next question to you is that, do you prefer tag team wrestling versus singles?
I would say yes at this point in my career. There's positives and negatives to both. I feel like when you're in singles, it's a lot more pressure because it is just you. Compared to when you're in a tag, you're like, all right, this guy, in my case, Trace. Trace has my back out there. But also with singles, like, like tags only could really get the tag team championship. Like singles, like if you're an SW, chance like the Uprising, the Unlimited, or 3WA, you got like, like Extreme, Heavyweight, TV, Carnage. Like there's more opportunity as a singles wrestler.
Yeah.
But I think there's something cool about being like, no, we are the best tag team around here, and just being like, there's no doubt about it. So at this point, and plus there's having more fun, more trips Trace and I take together, and really just not even like talking about wrestling, just talking about life and stuff, and just goals and dreams. So yeah, I think now at this point, at first last year you asked me, I was at singles, but at this point now I'm really having fun tagging with Trace and just embracing that.
Does he have similar goals to you?
Yes. Yeah. So he's actually been very committed. So when Trace started out, I mean, he made his debut when he was 19, 20, young guy. He's only 21, 22 now still. So, but yeah, when he started out, he wasn't as good a shape as he is in now. Like now he has like a personal trainer.
Yeah. He's getting more cut, I believe.
Yeah, way more cut. Personal trainer. He's doing like Tony Nese's meal planning. If you know who Tony Nese is, like that guy is looking good. I was like just getting his look down and whatnot. So he's really been putting in some work, and that pushes me to put in more work. Is like all of a sudden I don't want to be the weak link in the tag team, or either of us really be considered weak links or anything like that. So that's why I'm like, man, like teaming with Trace has been so beneficial to my career. Just make me the best version of myself, because I'm always pushing to, all right, well, I don't want to let Trace down and not pull my weight in this team type of deal.
When we first had you on and we talked, like you said, we talked more about singles. Keith and I asked you about your influences. When you were watching wrestling, is there guys that you look up to, guys that you, I wouldn't necessarily say emulate, but guys that you're like, for lack of better words, like look up to or respect, and you named a bunch of names of single guys. So let's switch that to tag teams, since we're talking about tag teams. Is there any classic tag teams, or maybe tag teams that are working nowadays that you might look up to?
I would say not so much classic, but American Alpha. Just like, hey, we're two wrestlers, man. Just that style, super appealing to me. And then like Team Angle, like Haas and Benjamin, just sort of those types of guys. I mean, if you really want to go back, we can look at guys like oh man, why am I blanking right now? Oh my goodness, like Rock and Roll Express sort of deal. Yeah, thank you. I don't know why it took me so long. When they Rock and Roll Express, where it's just like those just fiery baby faces who like, all right, what did Gibson and Morton do to get the crowd so behind them, taking some of that stuff, and then kind of like the more, like I said, modern flair of like a Team Angle or the World's Greatest Tag Team, if you want to call them that.
World's Greatest Tag Team, yeah.
Guys like that who like will also just be studying. FTR as well.
They're awesome.
That take a lot of influence from, as any tag team should, because they're so knowledgeable. And Pretty Deadly is a new one who's actually we've been watching more and more of, who while maybe their methods about teaming aren't what we agree with, they just like their moves and just kind of like how in sync they are about everything it's very impressive.
I got a comment here from Bob Bushman, super fan extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm.
He says, look at that stud, Tom Mitchell. One of the absolute greatest in the business today. Kid is going places.
I appreciate it, Bob. Bob's a real good dude, man. I love Bob. Can't say enough.
Bob is a fan not just of SWO and not just of 3WA, but of wrestling, like period. Yep. I believe he's been to 11 straight WrestleManias. He said. Yeah, I love Bob too. I met him just going to shows and sitting next to him, being a fan and all that. And Bob is so committed to supporting as many feds as possible within his reach, within a 2-hour radius of where he lives. So he tries to get to as many shows as possible, and I'm sure all you guys appreciate that.
Oh, sometimes it's further than 2 hours. Like there's one time, a couple times where it's
Oh,
long.
he's going down to West Virginia. He told me,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah. Voltage Wrestling in West Virginia. I'm like, Bob, like, what are you doing here? He's like, well, like I just want to come out and support you guys. I'm like, this is insane. Like, I'm so grateful for some support. I'm like, man, this is like a 5-hour drive for you.
yeah, dude, I don't drive 5 hours for WWE, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but man, just support like that though. It's all love, and it's just so cool to see, and just meet guys like Bob in wrestling, which makes all the bumps and bruises worth it, man.
He's awesome. He's awesome. They have a fan wing of the SWO Hall of Fame, and he's my first candidate to be in there next because you got guys like David Motorman, you guys like Jeff Becker, and then Bob Bushman should be right there with those guys, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, 100% agree.
So let's talk a little bit about the future now, because you got what do you got coming up in the recent future before we talk about the way off future?
Yeah, so upcoming in November, I'll be at PPW on the 11th. I'll be at 5-Star Wrestling on the 18th, and back at 3WA on the 25th. So November's actually kind of a light month for me, which I'm only having Saturdays. Oh, then the 4th, PCWA up in Schuylkill Haven.
So you're working every Saturday.
Yeah, so every Saturday in November I'm booked up. Yeah, no Friday shows or Sunday shows, which like the first month in a while it's been like that. But yeah, and then I'm taking off the weekend of the 2nd, just some personal stuff. And then yeah, the 9th I'll get back at PPW. December 9th I'm in now. December 9th PPW, 16th 5-Star, then 23rd if the Quakertown happens at 3WA. I'll be there, but it sounds like that's still up in the air.
Carolina Jim asked the fans if they would show up to the Christmas weekend show, because normally 3WA takes off that month.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 4th Saturday of every month except December, because it always falls around Christmas time. And this time Katie and Paul wanted to poll the fans and say, hey, you guys want a December 23rd show? I think by their response, I think they do want it.
Yeah, because that was right before the main event. They asked that, and that place got loud. And I was like,
they wanted it. They want it.
I guess I know where I'll be in December. But I even mentioned to Katie, I was like, because I know it's close to Christmas time. Like, not all the guys and girls in the back might not want to do a show that close.
Right.
Like, even if like you did like a one-night tournament or something like that, like just something along those lines where, like, okay, like we only got 16 people here or whatever the case is. Like you can still have a card and you can still have great matches, like with limited amount of people. Like there's ways to work around if it's more of an issue of like, all right, I don't know if I have the talent to pull off the show.
Exactly. That's another thing too. They got to get commitment from some people. They might not want to work that weekend. I get it, but I hope they have it. But I do know that SWO Thanksgiving Thunder is in November. I'm ring announcing that show at Red Lion. So we'll see what happens with you there. I mean, I'm thinking you guys, you have an unresolved issue with Greg the Mechanic Manual that needs addressing.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a thing. I don't know. They haven't announced any matches for Thanksgiving Thunder yet. That's in Red Lion at Chapel Church in Seven Valleys. And then on November the 25th, 3WA's back at the Q Mart. Won a match that has been signed, and I want your opinion on this. Wyndham James Winthorpe III, we mentioned him earlier. He's the reason why the professor is not with us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Is taking on Theo Ivory, last man standing. Now, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the main event, I'm guessing. But what do you think of that whole feud? That's a 1-year feud with those guys.
Yeah, it's insane because I don't think they've ever had that one-on-one match. They've had quite a few confrontations now in Quakertown. I think one-on-one match has been advertised and one of them doesn't show up or whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, last man standing. I think this is something that, I mean, you bring a guy's deceased mother into the conversation. Like, I feel like the only way you can have a match with them is to keep them down for a 10 count. So I think this is the perfect stipulation to blow off this huge feud that's kind of encapsulated 3WA for the past year, really, as you mentioned. And I think it's going to be an absolute war. I think Theo's going to be looking for blood. I think Wyndham's going to be trying to prove why he is one of the top guys in all of 3WA and has his reign of terror over the fans. So, yeah, it should be very interesting to see how it unfolds. But, I mean, I'm Team Theo. I love that dude. And I hope that he absolutely whips Wyndham's butt all around Quakertown.
Well, as you and a lot of the fans know, I usually root for the heels.
Mm-hmm.
But Wyndham James Winthorpe III has crossed the line.
Yes.
Not only did he involve Theo Ivory's mother into the whole thing, but he also involved the professor, who just happens to be really close friends with Theo Ivory.
Mm-hmm.
And he attacked the professor. Now, people might say, well, I argue with the professor all the time because I hear you guys on Carnage. You say one thing, he says another. He keeps you on the ground. But the thing is, that's my broadcast partner. And on Around the Turnbuckle, he's my partner in crime here. He's my co-host. And he's not here tonight because Wyndham James Winthorpe III put his hands on him. Now, thankfully, Theo Ivory made the save. And Professor's going to be okay. He's recouping. I've talked to him. Everybody, in case you were wondering, he's fine. He's going to be okay. But he's not a wrestler. He's not even a manager. And he was attacked by Wyndham. Now, he's with every right to sue Wyndham James Winthorpe III if he wanted to. But the professor's not that kind of guy. The professor is obviously talking to Theo Ivory and obviously is backing Theo Ivory 100%. And in this case, so am I, because I don't condone anything that Wyndham James Winthorpe III has done this past year to not only Theo Ivory, but also to my partner.
Yeah, and he's just a despicable person, man. Black Bear always say it. I think Theo absolutely needs to get his comeuppance, not just, or Theo needs to give him his comeuppance. Excuse me, not just for his own sake, but just really just to get him out of Quakertown. Guys like that who had nothing but dirty things to say about people's moms and the place they're in. Just get out of here, man. If you're gonna be like that.
Yeah, and I can't imagine 3WA without Theo Ivory, and he put his career on the line in this thing.
Right. I almost forgot about that. I did.
Yeah, and so that, to me, it's a little bit of confidence, but I hope he hasn't overdone it a little bit, because make no mistake about it, that guy is capable of anything. Not only is he a former 3WA heavyweight champion, but he is for 3 years he had that title.
Mm-hmm.
But he has, you've seen what he's capable of in order to win a match. Just imagine that multiplied that times 100 about what he'll do to try to make Theo Ivory be knocked out for 10 seconds.
Yeah, and plus the feather in his cap of being able to say, I'm the one who drove Theo Ivory out of Quakertown. He desperately wants to do that too, just with how long this has drawn out for. So
it's gonna be crazy, buddy.
Like you said, I couldn't imagine 3WA without Theo Ivory, and just the light and positive energy he brings every time I see him in the locker room, just the good vibes, and see Wyndham, he's just bitter and he's just to himself, and just
he is.
No, so
I've invited him on this program about a dozen times, and I got a dozen no's.
that checks out.
Yeah, and and like I said, I don't know if he respects what we do, meaning Keith and I on commentary and Carnage. But I mean, we make a very, very vain effort to put him over because he is a very talented wrestler and a veteran. He's been doing this quite some time. We got a comment here from a guy you might know, and that is Prince Piranha. And Prince Piranha says, when is the 3WA tag team title match? With what? With Nice and Smooth?
I assume he's talking about with us. But shout out to new champs, Anton and Damon, man.
Yes.
Finally, the original family's reign of terror is over in the tag team division. I mean, granted, they haven't defended the titles in a long time, and Trace and I, we're out here busting our butt every single month for the good fans of Quakertown. but that's a whole nother story. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, yeah, I don't do any of the bookings. I just do my own thing. So just know whenever the opportunity is in front of us to wrestle for the gold, we'll be 1,000% ready. We've been working well over a year since we got to Quakertown for a chance at the gold, and it's definitely in our mind.
So in case you didn't hear him say that, Prince Piranha, there are new tag team champions in 3WA in the form of the Outcast Damon Dante and the SoundCloud sensation Anton Nathan. Kind of a team that was thrown together. Nobody thought they had a chance. They've never teamed together before, but they dethroned the original family. They are the brand new tag team champions, and I have a feeling after talking to them, I talked to them. I got a chance to talk to them during intermission. I have a feeling they're going to be a little bit more fighting champions than the original family were.
Good.
And so nice and smooth after that big victory against Rico and Suicide Myers, they got to be right there for a title shot, I think.
I would imagine so. But the tag team division is heating up. I mean, you got guys like Lou Nick and Abdul Sadiq. It sounds like they're going to start teaming up. The Bad Fellas are always a threat. I understand that Don has a baby on the way, or what?
He does. Well, I think that happened over the weekend.
Yeah. So
congratulations to the Don.
Congratulations to the Don. Hopefully your little guy or girl isn't as much of a bad fella as you are. But congratulations regardless.
He hasn't had time to corrupt her yet, or him yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so tag team division 3WA certainly on the rise, and you best believe that we're gunning for the gold eventually.
Sorry about that. I had a technical difficulty.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. Did Suicide Myers have his mask? I heard he lost it. Yes, he did. It was Halloween weekend. How could Suicide Myers not appear in the mask? I did see on social media what he's talking about, though. Suicide Myers recently posted that he is thinking about, seriously considering taking off the mask and reinventing himself. I'm interested to see what a maskless Suicide Myers is and becomes and what he's got in mind. Like, can that guy under that mask be as successful as Suicide Myers?
I mean, one of the things about wrestling under a mask is sometimes, like, maybe the stage is too big for a guy without the mask, so he needs to hide his identity so that way he doesn't feel like he's going to crumble under the pressure. Or sometimes it's the complete opposite, where it's like, all right, I can take the mask off. I can spread my wings and be me, like the true, authentic me. So very curious if he does end up taking the mask off, what happens or where he goes.
Me too. Great question, Prince Piranha. And thank you to popping on here, man. I always appreciate when a wrestler pops on and talks to one of his fellow co-workers here. Prince Piranha, a big star that you've been in the ring with a bunch of times, and he's a hell of an athlete, decorated champion in wrestling, and he's been making the rounds too outside of SWO. Three legacies, things like that.
Yeah, he's a guy who I'll train with on occasion, and just some of the stuff he can do in the ring, it's just mind blowing.
Phenomenal.
He's so talented. He's a guy who definitely deserves to be getting looks all over because he is that good, and the crowd's absolutely eating him up, no pun intended. So
you were talking about the tag team division in 3WA. I've been screaming at management to kind of, for lack of better terms, like, bring some more teams in, like really make it competitive. The fans love that division, and it always seemed to have one or two teams. Like they would have Dog Nation, or they would have the Original Family, or the Brotherhood, or somebody, and that would be it. Now you got this influx of young talent, right? And you have the new tag team champions, Damon Dante and Anton Nathan. I believe they're going to start calling themselves Loudcast, which I think is pretty cool.
That's a good name.
So Loudcast, you have the Bad Fellas, you mentioned them as another team in 3WA that can vie for the tag team titles. You got yourself and your partner, Nice and Smooth, and You have the Shadow Assassin Lou Nick and his brother Abdul Sadiq have decided that why are we fighting? We need to be a team. All right. And they have teamed together in the past, and I have seen some of those matches. That's a team you guys need to worry about.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with their tag stuff, but their past few matches at 3WA, they've gone to absolute war with each other, man. I'm just like, man, these dudes are freaking good. So yeah, they're definitely two guys. I'm like, oh, if they're on the same page, like that could be trouble for the rest of the tag division. So don't get me wrong, Trace and I will be up to the challenge if we ever cross paths with them. But I'm definitely gonna be scouting them heavily now that they're in the tag division.
I love those guys, whether they're heels, whether they're faces, to me it's irrelevant. The talent there is so good that again, I can't wait to see Nice and Smooth versus those guys. I can't wait to see Damon Dante and Anton versus those guys. I can't wait to see them versus the Bad Fellas even to prove themselves. Like, take on the Bad Fellas and see if you can get by those two guys. I mean, it's that you are exactly right. The tag team division is finally heating up in 3WA, and that's awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, for a long time it was just us versus the Dogs, and the Original Family was there.
Yep.
It definitely took a while for the tag team division to be what it is, but I mean, it's all of a sudden going into 2024 is like it's about to be a good year for tag team wrestling in Quakertown. It looks like.
What did you think of what happened to the 3WA heavyweight champion, Top Shelf Tyler Sims, where his own flesh and blood smashed him in the face with a steel chair and joined the Original Family?
You see, it's crazy because I met Kai backstage, just kind of seeing like, a young kid who was just excited to really be like, okay, like I'm following Dad's footsteps, like I'm gonna be a vessel like my dad. My dad's a champ. This is awesome. My mentality would be if that was my dad who was a champ, like, oh, let me make sure my dad stays a champ, and let me make sure like I can learn everything from my dad and be there to support my dad. He looks like he's like 18, 19 years old. He's a young kid, and to immediately just turn his back and just join the most hated group in all of 3WA just blows my mind, especially because like he saw firsthand the corruption that it caused his dad with the Original Family, of course, I'm talking about. So to be like, I'm gonna be a part of that, just why, man? Like, there's so many questions I have, but I'm like, you do have that family drama, like my head's in the tag team division, but you got a little messy situation there, Tyler.
Crazy stuff. It's crazy. I'm a father, so if one of my kids turn on me like that in that manner, I don't know how I'd handle it. So Top Shelf Tyler Sims, I mean, the fans obviously gave him a standing O on his way out because he is a hell of an athlete. He's been doing this thing for over 30 years, and so has Roadblock. Well, over 20 years, both of them. So has Roadblock. So it was cool that Roadblock said, okay, there's a guy that I've gone up and down the road with in there getting triple teamed by the Original Family, and he comes in and kind of saves the day for now. But I mean, I talked to Top Shelf Tyler Sims after the show was over, and he was a lot worse for wear, not only physically, but emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, I got to the back after my match, and like he was just so kind of just in that corner where like he usually sits and gets dressed, and he was like so defeated, like you said, just like physically, like mentally, like that guy had a rough Saturday. I mean, he was fighting Michael Mars, and I've been there firsthand with Mars. I know.
Yeah, he wrestled twice.
Yes, and he was in the lost the tag belts.
He lost the tag titles.
So yeah, then he wrestled Mars, like, and Mars is, I mean, he's main event for a reason. Michael Mars, like, he's very good from firsthand experience. So
he got robbed of his. He had the title. He almost regained his title, and he got robbed because Top Shelf Tyler Sims did not want to win that way.
So
Piranha's back, and he's saying, I'm going to find a partner. Seems like you got to watch your back, 3WA.
If Piranha finds a partner and swims his way up to Quakertown, now that could be something. That could most certainly.
My goodness. That could be chaos.
And around the turnbuckle.
I would love it. I would love it. Oh, I would. I've been pushing for Piranha to be at 3WA for a long time, and he was a couple of times, and the fans did react to him. Um, the fans who did see him wrestle got a small taste of what it's like, because when we go to SWO, and I mean, he's one of my favorite guys to ring announce. Just because, I admire his talent, of course, but he gives me a chance to roll my R's, which I never get to do. Because I promised him I'd go Piranha when I announce him, and so I get excited every time. I'm like, I look and say, oh, good, I get to announce Prince Piranha. Great, I get excited about that. I don't know why, it's weird, but I get excited about that. But anyway, man, so before we get out of here, let's talk about the far off future. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, at this point, I genuinely think that Trace and I have an opportunity to be on TV somewhere, whether it's even just doing dark matches or not like AEW dark, like opportunities like that, or like an Impact, or like
Yeah,
and something like that. I feel like it's like a realistic 5 year goal for us because we're close, man. Like I feel not necessarily close, but like we're on our way for like um where we're just really starting to find our footing. Like I said, I'm in a really cool spot now where like we have to like turn down bookings or be selective.
right.
So just kind of a combination of that, and yeah, so nothing really too set in stone as far as like if I'm not here in 5 years, like I failed. But I think realistically, like we should be on TV in some capacity.
I agree. I agree with that too. I think if you guys keep working on your craft, I think if you guys keep working on, maybe because you have the skill, you have the look, you have the talent. It's now turning that volume up, going over that little edge. Maybe building more on your personalities, like getting more on fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you guys need to be right there. Trust me, if people saw you on TV, they want to see more of you. Because I look forward to seeing you guys live each and every month. I see you guys live at least once each and every month. So I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. But as far as that question is good, I love asking that question because the answer is always different.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys picture themselves, they're like, well, I hope I'm just still in the game and I hope I'm just still putting on great matches. And that's a great answer. But I mean, a wise man once said, if you're not in this to win this, get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys got the great mentality. You have the youth. You have the already gaining more and more experience. And the more you guys get out there, somebody's got to see the talent that we see, and say, I want to give these guys a shot. I want to see what they look like up against, one of our premier teams, and, you know, maybe put you in with the Acclaimed at the AEW or something,
Yeah.
see how you do. I mean, something like that, where, just to see how you, work. I mean, I could see it happening, but Keith and I always support you guys. We wish you nothing but the best, health. We wish you nothing but the best in your careers and whatever you do in life, man, because we've gotten to know you guys really well, and we respect the hell out of you guys, both of you. And, whatever happens down the road at 3WA, tag team wise, and then over in SWO, you're kind of on your own now. Whatever happens to either one of you guys, man, we wish you guys nothing but the best. Is there anything that we haven't talked about this last almost hour that you want to talk about?
I just want to say grateful for 3WA for putting us in the position of main event. I think that's something not to be overlooked or understated. Like it's very cool, like especially when you have like a heavyweight title match going on, to just go out there and just say, hey, like we trust you guys to give the fans the best performance and have the best match and have the marquee match on the card. So that's something like I never overlook or take for granted. And just super grateful for, like I said, all the opportunities and just all the different chances I've really had so far in my young career. So whether it be inside the ring or just opportunities, meeting guys like you, or opportunities with fans. So I just want to make sure everyone knows, and truly understands how much I appreciate the support.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't normally say this because I don't want to offend anybody. All right. But um I told Lou Nick and Abdul Sadiq that they were this close to being match of the night. You guys were. And it's not that often that the main event is that. It doesn't happen every time. Sometimes it happens and they send them home happy and that's great. But sometimes things don't go to plan. And it seemed like you guys just had such great chemistry with Rico, such great chemistry with Suicide Myers, and camaraderie, teamwork. And those two had teamwork. They showed great teamwork for not teaming up. I don't know if they've ever teamed up before, let alone often. But the four of you just put on a clinic that I was ready to tell Lou Nick and Abdul Sadiq, you guys were match of the night because they were, and because they know each other so well. They're brothers. They complemented each other. They reversed everything. I've never seen anybody reverse a clothesline the way Abdul Sadiq did in that match. If you guys haven't seen that, man, you got to check out Carnage and watch Lou Nick versus Abdul Sadiq against each other because that was an awesome match. But this match was not only main event quality, but it was also match of the night because you guys, it was just everything went so, no pun intended, smooth because it was really, I don't want to say perfect because nothing's perfect, but it was as close to perfect as you can get, and you sent them home happy. And everybody was talking about it after. Man, that was a great match. Like afterwards, I always talk to a lot of the fans and like, wow, that last match was great. Kudos to you guys. You know what I mean?
Probably my favorite part of last night is I got to the parking lot as I was getting ready to leave, and there's this family, like this big family, outside, and the one little girl's like, "You first ever wrestling show, by the way." They're like, "You guys were the ones who now I really like wrestling." I was like, "Your match in particular." I was just like, like sometimes you make these car drives, it's like, okay, like, I'm driving 3 hours here, and like, like it's not gonna be great pay or anything like that, but
Yeah.
those little moments where you're like, man, like I really impacted someone's life. And that's the craziest thing because it's like, who am I? And just to have those moments.
I'm right there with you, man, because I'm not a wrestler. I'm not a wrestler, but when somebody asks me for my autograph, who the hell am I? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? At least you get in there and you put on a show like I could never do. But when there's a little girl that comes to every 3WA show, and every time she gets her poster signed by all the wrestlers, she's got to stop by the broadcast table and get me and the professor too,
Oh, that's so
which
cool,
is
man.
which is heartwarming. It just melts my heart every time. Shout out to Emily. If you ever watch this show, Emily, you're the best. Piranha says you're definitely going in the right direction. Keep it up. Absolutely, I agree. So, man, don't go off the air when I sign off here. All right.
All right, sounds good.
If you want people to find you, how can they find you on social media? How can they book you?
Yeah, so find me on social media, Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it nowadays. And
Yeah.
Instagram at Tom Mitchell Pro. You can find me on Facebook, Tom Mitchell. YouTube as well, Tom Mitchell. Maybe you have to type in Tom Mitchell Wrestling for me to pop up because there's also apparently an Australian football player named Tom Mitchell,
There is.
which I discovered. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And then booking, you're just DM me or you can email me at tommitchellwrestling@gmail.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Again, if you want to see a lot of his matches, a lot of Tom Mitchell matches are on the YouTube channel, SWO Wrestling YouTube channel, and 3WA Wrestling YouTube channel. He's involved in both of those. 3WA has episodes of Carnage. We're now in the 60s. We're getting close to our 70th episode of 3WA Carnage. He's in a lot of that. So if you want to see what he can do, by all means, check out 3WA Carnage and SWO Wrestling. They have the individual matches, so you can just look for his name, look for Smooth Tom Mitchell, and you won't be disappointed. Absolutely. Next week, guys, on Around the Turnbuckle, we have Smash Master's own Zach Zander. Zach Zander I've never met, nor have I ever seen him wrestle, and I love having guests where I've never met them or never seen them wrestle, because then I get to know them, I get to meet them and know them just like you guys are in real time. We get to find out what he's all about and where you can see him wrestle. So next week, the Professor will be back, and it's me and the Professor at 6 p.m., our normal time. We went a little late here for me and Smooth Tom Mitchell, which is fine. But next week, we're back at our regular time on YouTube, 6 p.m. with Zach Zander from Smash Masters, and we'll see what he's all about. In the meantime, shout out to the Professor. Get well soon, brother. And for Smooth Tom Mitchell, I'm Big Al, and we'll see you next time on Around the Turnbuckle.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah! If you smile!
Calculations are correct.